Growing up, my mother had a horrible habit of trying to one-up my Aunt Terra. She did everything from dyeing her hair like my aunt, making our living room a replica of hers, and getting better versions of her pets. My mom was the pretty sister growing up, married better and had better kids. This caused huge resentment for my siblings and I. Everything we did was thrown into our cousins' faces. This led to us not speaking to my mother that often and refusing to go to see our Aunt Terra. I was close with my cousins, we went to the same school, but I hated when my mom was around. What made it even more awkward was the fact my mom stole my Aunt Terra's names. My oldest brother is Martin and a year younger than cousin Martina. I am named for my cousin Rebecca, I'm Becca, and we are 6 months apart. I started going by Eve, short for my middle name Evelyn, when I was 13. My mom refused to call me anything but Becca. But my whole family was more than happy to call me whatever I wanted. My brother went by his middle name as well. I turned 18 and my dad paid for the legal name change. I am now Evelyn's surname. My mom threw a fit and threatened to never speak to me again. I took her up on that offer and stopped contact. My dad has since divorced her, and at 25 I have not spoken to her in years. She has reached out to me and said she was in therapy, had started medication for bipolar, and she wants me in her life. I was almost tempted, but she ended the message with "I miss my Becca." I told her she had the wrong person, there was no Becca here. I told her when she wanted to speak to Eve I would be here. She has not reached out since. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I might have said differently if you shut down any possibility of reconciliation, but you didn't. You told her very clearly that, if she really wants you back in her life, she needs to respect your name. That's a reasonable boundary and also a good indication for whether or not she's really trying to change, rather than throwing around the word therapy like it should mean forgiveness. I hope she gets her head out of her back and you can build a positive relationship with her, but the next step is on her, not you. Not the idiot. And I'd like to say that, even if she is working on her mental health, that doesn't mean you have to forgive her. Especially if she chooses to call you by your dead name knowing you go by Eve. You do what makes you feel comfortable. I know that can be hard, as I am someone that always put others before myself, but then I realized how much it had destroyed my mental health. You do what's right for you. She'll have learned her lesson. Not the idiot, I'm in the process of changing my last name to that of my mother's maiden name. My father hasn't been a part of my life in many years. I plan to marry and have a kid this summer. Their last names will take the last name of my mom, the one who truly deserves the credit. I just wanted to relate before explaining, basically, you have the choice over your own name. Especially once you hit 18. Let her go through therapy and just keep an open mind. Maybe she just needs more time to reflect. Best of luck to you. I have a puppy who is about 6 months old. She lives with me and I live alone. I also don't have any really young family members and friends with babies, so my puppy has not really had any experience around babies. She loves kids, but tends to jump up on them. She is a small breed, but I usually discourage kids from trying to pet her, only because I know her little nails will scratch them. Otherwise, she loves people and is the friendliest girl. Recently I was at the dog park to help get her energy out, and we were in the designated under 25 pounds area. This area is a bit hit or miss, because sometimes the dogs in there are old and do nothing but sit in the grass, but the dogs in the regular area were quite big and rowdy that day, so I brought her in to throw her tennis ball and just let her run around. Enter young mom with 5 or 6 month old infant in a stroller and her Jack Russell. Cute, I thought. I love dogs and kids and even said hi to her when she came in. Until she sets a blanket on the ground, takes her kid out of the stroller and lays him on it. Of course, none of the other old dogs were bothered, but my pup instantly ran up and was sniffing the baby, trying to lick him, and overall was just being curious. However, remember those nails and how they can scratch if she happened to step on an arm or hand or get too close to the face. I was sitting on a chair across the field, so immediately got up, grabbed her, tried to redirect her, and apologized. But she went right back to explore the little human. After many times of redirecting and asking her to leave it, which she is still learning, the mom started to get aggressive with my dog, pushing her away, yelling at her, etc. But not once did she move her baby, pick him up, or put him back in the stroller. I tried everything I could do before I just picked her up and held her. I considered leaving, but it's an off-leash dog park. The park is for dogs to enjoy and exercise in, not for someone to set up a blanket with their baby. She suggested maybe my rowdy dog should move to the big area, and I said she would be fine if baby was back in the stroller. Of course, that was not okay, and she said the dog park was for everyone to enjoy, and I just needed to control my dog. Am I the idiot for thinking she should have just picked up her baby and put him in his stroller? It's been bothering me. Oh my god, this woman clearly has zero idea about prey-driven dogs. That baby could be killed in an instant if any hound or terrier type mistake her for a small animal. Hunting small moving creatures is what they're bred for. Don't get me wrong, I am a dog person, but you do not take a baby to a dog park unless it is 100% safely confined in its stroller. Even in your arms you could be tripped by a dog or jumped on. Not the idiot for sure, that woman is going to learn the hard way, and unfortunately, it will be at the expense of her child. Not the idiot. There's nothing wrong with bringing a child into the dog park, especially in a stroller. If a dog needs exercise and child sitting can't be found, no real other options. That being said, there's something extremely wrong with taking the child out or letting children run around in a dog park. It's not their park and the dogs come first in an area specifically designed for them. It's the parents' responsibility to make sure their children are confined and not hurting or terrorizing or making dogs uncomfortable in general. Not the idiot, and as a pet parent, screw any person who does this, honestly. It is a dog park. Children can get seriously injured by dogs doing what they are entitled to do in their own park. Dogs can't go into stores, libraries, pools, playgrounds, etc. All pet parents ask for is a facility where their fur babies can be themselves without worrying about people like this who feel entitled to lay their infants on a disgusting poo-filled ground designated for animals. Sorry not sorry, but I can't stand that level of entitlement. My sister and I have always had a strained relationship. I usually just let things go and try to keep the peace. We both have sons who are around the same age. My nephew is 13 and my son just turned 11. For my son's birthday, I bought him the new gaming system he has been wanting. He was absolutely thrilled and he plays non-stop. My sister is bad with money. I usually have to lend her money for bills and stuff for my nephew. I know my nephew doesn't always get the best Christmas gifts, so this year I went a little crazy and I purchased the same gaming system for him for Christmas. I already had it ready and wrapped under my tree. Yesterday my sister's family came to visit. My son asked me if they could go play video games. I said yes and reminded them to be careful. About 30 minutes later my son comes running to me crying. I asked him what was wrong and he led me to the front hall. When we get to the stairs I see the new system smashed on the floor. Someone had thrown it from the upstairs and it was now smashed to pieces. I asked my son what happened and he sobbed and pointed at his cousin. I asked my nephew if he did this and he started to laugh. He said that it was a stupid baby toy and that he saw people break them online. My sister came in and I told her what happened. I explained that this was an expensive system and that her son needs to be disciplined for what he did. I told her I wanted her to pay for what her son broke. She laughed and said no. She says I shouldn't have let them play unsupervised. That it was my fault and that I am a bad parent. She said my son will get over it and that it was not important. Seeing my son sitting on the ground next to his broken system trying to put the pieces back together tore my heart out. I walked over to the Christmas tree and grabbed the system that was meant for my nephew. I pulled the gift wrap off and I gave it to son and told him to go upstairs and set it up. My sister asked me why I was making such a big deal when I had another one already. I then laughed and told her that was her son's Christmas gift. That since it wasn't important and it was just a stupid baby toy then they obviously won't miss it. I then told them to leave. My nephew realized what happened and began to cry that my son had stole his system. I said no, his was the one that he smashed. My sister was livid and told me that I will never see them again. I just said okay and slammed the door. Other family members have now been calling me non-stop and saying I am an idiot and that I ruined my nephew's Christmas. I don't think so though. My nephew is 13. He is not a stupid kid and he knew what he was doing. I don't care that it was over jealousy, he is old enough to know better. My sister was not going to make the situation right, so I just did what I had to do. They all think I should buy another new system for him, but I don't have that kind of money. I'm starting to feel bad about this, and I am wondering, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your nephew needs to learn that he can't just destroy whatever he wants and pretend like everything is fine. Don't get him a new console. He can get a nice pair of socks for Christmas. Your sister needs to take a parenting class. How could she laugh that her son threw your son's console down the stairs? I can absolutely see where your nephew gets his disregard for other people's feelings from. I bet you son is happy, and to be honest, that's all that matters here. Not the idiot. And honestly, if this is an indication of how your sister raises her kid, I can see why he behaved this way. He's in for a rude awakening when he hits adulthood. Your sister 100% owes you the money, and if she isn't going to discipline her kid, knowing he could have gotten the same present if he had kept his cool seems like the best kind of lesson. And how unbelievably entitled of your family to tell you should replace something your sister's kid broke. That is actually mind-blowingly moronic. Not the idiot. Instant karma. Unfortunately, your nephew learned a very hard lesson. I know you said you don't have the money to buy another system for him, but is there any way you could work it out with your nephew to let him work off the debt? Apologizing to your son would be task 1, then you could say X number of hours volunteering and helping others would earn him a used system next Christmas. He is at a fork, you can steer him down a good path, or you can let him continue down the path he is on. I have 3 grown children. My 2 youngest, 28 and 23, both have settled in their own places. Then I have my 31-year-old who has lived at home all her life. She works full-time at a fast food place. She has been there for 8 years, but won't accept a promotion because she doesn't want to get stuck there. Often, her paychecks can only cover her gas, toiletries, and the rest is play money. Sometimes she'll surprise the old ball and chain and myself with dinner and feed the pets, but other than that, the housework falls on the wife while I work full-time. She's talked about moving out for a few years, but hasn't taken the steps until now. She's actively looking and taking tours, along with seeking a better job. The missus and I decided to take a week road trip and left her in charge of the house. I return home and am informed she hasn't had one night just by herself. She forced the other kids to stay with her, along with friends. She told me she couldn't manage being alone right now. She's been on my last nerve, so I was blunt and told her to prepare herself for taking care of me and the wife when I'm old, because she'll still be in the house and there's no way in hell she'll handle living on her own. It sounds harsh but not wrong. Not the idiot. Just imagine it was a son and not a daughter, the comments would be so different here. She sounds lazy, not wanting to get stuck in a job, but being there for 8 years, no ambition to change anything, and she doesn't want to be by herself. If you're used for your parents to be around, you normally won't like being all alone all of a sudden. I don't know anyone who wasn't anxious about being alone after they moved out. She has no medical condition. She really just seems to rely a lot on you. I think harsher words are okay here, maybe that's the push she needs. You're the idiot. People who say things like "hey, I'm not wrong" or "I have no filter" are invariably people who are idiots. But instead of just owning the idiotity, they try to turn it into a virtue by pointing out the harsh effectiveness of idiotity. The thing is though, there's a way to say anything without sounding like an idiot. You could have just told her that you worry about her long term because you haven't seen her demonstrate a lot of independence. That's the same general message as what you said, except it's not hurtful and mean. Failure to launch is rarely the result of a kid simply being lazy or unmotivated. Functional adults generally want to be independent. When one isn't independent, it's usually because there is some trauma or undiagnosed developmental, neurological, mental, or medical issue that is stopping them. Maybe instead of insulting your daughter and squashing her confidence, you could try asking her what she is struggling with. Something is wrong. If you care about what's best for her, you should be trying to help her figure out what that is. Most days for about 10 minutes or so I will sit at my back door to get some fresh air. My older cat likes to come out and lie on my knee. He doesn't try to go any further, he just enjoys the breeze. For the last few days, when I've been outside with him, my neighbor keeps trying to get him to go into her garden. She bought treats and will shake the bag to entice him over. Now I wouldn't have a problem if she wanted to come over and pet him because he's absolutely adorable and very friendly. I don't want him going too far out into the garden since my neighbors on the other side have dogs. They can't see my cat when he's sitting on my knee, but they would see him if he goes over to my neighbor's garden. And I'm scared he'll take off up the back of our garden where there's a large woodland area that is the home of a lot of foxes. So on to today. I was sitting at the back door with my cat on my knee and my neighbor came out shaking her bag of treats and trying to call my cat. My boy absolutely loves treats, so he tries to go get them. I put him back in the house and closed the door. I asked my neighbor to please stop doing this. If she wants to pet him and give him treats then she can come into my garden. I have no problem with that. She started calling me names and saying that he looked so much like her old cat who passed away a few years ago. Her cat would also sit in the garden with her and she just wanted to experience that again. I am completely sympathetic to this, but I still don't want my cat going into her garden for the reasons listed above. My neighbor is pretty old and I don't think she would be able to catch him if he got scared of the dogs. But I do kind of feel like an idiot because she just misses her cat. She has shown me pictures of her cat and he is identical to my boy. I'm just scared he's going to run off and not be able to get him back. Should I have just let her have a little time with him? I do feel really bad. Not the idiot, it is your cat, and I can understand as well as sympathies with the old lady because my cat passed away a few years ago as well, but if I come across someone's pet, I wouldn't call the pet to me. And definitely would want to go pet the pet if and only if the owner was okay with it. You allowed her to come to you and play with your boy because you know the dangers your boy might face if he gets spooked and runs away, so she, instead of shouting at you, should have accepted the invite and enjoyed meeting with your boy. Not the idiot. He's your cat and you're looking out for his well-being. Stand firm and tell her she's welcome to come over, but that your cat is not going to her house. If she continues to be rude about it, just take your cat inside with you the moment you see her with the treats. You never know. She may be a crazy person who will claim that your cat is hers as soon as he crosses into her yard and keep him from you, using the photos and whatnot of her old cat to prove ownership to the police. Not the idiot. It's not her cat, it's yours. How does she know yours doesn't have an allergy? What makes her think he won't take off? She's trying to turn him into her cat, and that's not okay. If she doesn't stop, you can make reports and bring the outdoors indoors. That means bringing some plants inside, if possible getting interactive toys to keep him busy, and most cats are happy and safer that way. They only want to be outside if they don't feel like they have enough to keep them busy inside.